from 10,000 foot view, and I've got another Google Ads quick tip for you today. Just before I jump in, a reminder to please like our content and subscribe to the channel. We post about Google Ads at least once every week. Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about unwritten rules of thumb for budgeting with Google Ads. And importantly, whenever we talk about rules of thumb, there are always exceptions, but these are just general guidelines that we found over the years tend to line up well. So first kind of question is, what's the minimum number of daily clicks I need to buy as an advertiser? And in general, this comes right from Google. You have to dig deep into their support articles to find this. But basically, you should aim for a minimum of 10 clicks or more per campaign per day. And basically, that's just enough clicks to ensure the algorithm will run efficiently. More is absolutely desirable, but if you get 10, it's enough that you won't see any like wonky variability in terms of days with no clicks and days with a whole bunch. And you should also see a fairly consistent average cost per click. But once you're down like 1-2 clicks, you're going to see like wild swings. So always aim for 10 plus minimum per campaign. All right, number 2 is, how many conversions do I need to use automated smart bidding? And this has changed a lot over the years. We used to talk about like kind of getting 50, and then we used to talk about 25. And these days, based on like what my peers say and what we experience, I would say 15 is kind of the general cutoff. So if you're running one single campaign, you really should be aiming for 15 conversions a month before turning on smart bidding. And smart bidding could be max conversions, max conversion value, TCPA, or target ROAS. I have actually even seen automated bidding work better than manual, as low as having 5 conversions a month. But it's really hard to confirm that statistically because the numbers are so low that it could just be dumb luck, right? The other thing to keep in mind when we talk about 15 is the number Google used to require in order to run active automated bidding. And in fact, Microsoft still has that requirement. The other thing I'd say just in general, it's much safer to have 25 conversions for kind of smooth operating and consistency. But 15 is a good kind of minimum to aim for. All right, number 3 is, how many conversions do I need to use all broad match keywords? And Google, of course, will say there's no minimum, and broad match is the preferred method for all advertisers. But in practice, most advertisers don't benefit from all broad, unless they have 3 or 4 months of fairly stable conversion performance and a minimum, I would say, of 50 conversions per campaign. Any less than that, and you may see that just with like a couple of poor weeks of performance, that things go off the rails and like your campaign disintegrates, right? So it's just like, hey, things are going really, really well. We had 2 kind of slow weeks, and now things are just trash. Like the search queries are all over the place. They're not relevant. And then you're having to like kind of recover from that. So again, 3 to 4 months, 50 conversions per campaign, very healthy to do all broad match. That may change in the future, but that's kind of where we're at today. All right, number 4, how much should I spend on remarketing? And there's a lot of variables here, but just on average, we see like 5% of your total account budget is a good average to aim for. Particularly if you're just starting, just take 5% of your total account budget. This usually works out such that you can reach your previous website visitors, generate a decent volume of conversions while not taking away too much budget from paid search, which is where your budget should be going if you're doing lead gen. And that said, how much you spend here needs to be adjusted based on the size of your target audience, your average CPA, and traction. So, for example, if you typically get a CPA of $50, then you should aim to spend at least $500 a month so you can generate the 10 plus or so conversions required for automated bidding to work. All right, and finally, number 5, how big of a budget should I have before introducing a PMAX campaign? And first, if you're an online shop, PMAX or shopping, or a combination of those two should be your core campaigns. And they should get about 90% of your budget. So what we're talking about here is if you're running lead gen, or non-shopping, you should plan to spend enough on PMAX that you can comfortably generate 25 conversions a month. And to calculate that, just take your average CPA from your search campaigns, and then do some math, right? So let's say you're getting 50 conversions per month from search with a total ad spend of 5,000. Then simple math, you need 2,500 dedicated to PMAX for it to run efficiently. So that means either raising your account budget, the total you're spending, or borrowing from search, or some combination of the two. I do recommend against committing like 50% of a search budget as a starting point to run PMAX. It's just too much to risk. Instead, I would consider no more than like 25% of a carve off. And then the other thing is just a general rule of thumb in our agency is we don't even really start thinking about PMAX in most accounts until an account hits 10K a month in ad spend. But that does get adjusted based on what the average CPA is. So like if the CPA is $10, that's a lot different from a CPA of 100 or 500, where, generating those 25 conversions requires a much bigger investment. But that's basically it for PMAX. So that's kind of it for the 5 rules for budgeting. Keep in mind, again, as I said off the top, each account is unique. So these are only kind of generalizations, and you really have to, be thoughtful in your approach and consider the different variables. But this is a good starting point if you're not sure like what your numbers should look like in order to make these decisions. I hope you found this video useful. That's it for today. I will see you next time.